Hello.
Hi, hi, Jerome. I was on your course you did for alternatives at the beginning of the year.
Yes, I was like, this face looks familiar somehow, but I couldn't remember where from.
So yeah, greetings everyone from the UK. Um, yeah, my question, your course was amazing, and I've been doing the practices. I've been doing 3 minutes of like imagining my wellness every morning, and here's my book, and every day I've written down 5 things I appreciate. And a couple in my body, and at the end of each day I write, I bless my body, thank you, and I keep patting myself. And so my issue is similar to Victoria's. I've got sort of a long COVID, chronic fatigue. I got better, then it all went wrong a few months ago. So it's like I've probably got mild chronic fatigue. I'm not hideous, I know there's people with that who are much worse, but I'm not right. And ironically, since the course, I would say, whilst mentally I can feel myself go into a more loving thoughts. My physical symptoms, I've actually gone downhill a bit in the last 4 or 5 weeks. I'm not as good as I was. I write, and mental stuff is making me tired, and I get more and more in a panic and sort of traumatized by it. And I'm going out this evening. It's 4 o'clock in the UK at the moment, and I'm always saving my energy because I've got to do this tonight or that tomorrow, and I'm always in a panic, and I have a lot of social anxiety around it because I just don't have enough juice. So yeah, is it normal to get worse before you get better when you start your wonderful practices? Because I love being here. You've got an amazing energy. I feel it's the right thing for me.
Yes. I'm going to just do let me connect in. I know how I want to respond, but I want to connect in your energy and see if there's anything extra. So let me do that. So can you tell me your full name for me really quickly?
It's Callie Bird. Callie Bird, Callie Bird.
Thank you. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so a few things, actually just 2 things, really.
Yeah.
So I want to answer the question of, is it normal? Yes. And I want to tell you why. So the reason why, and I call it the shit hits the fan moment. So when you take a course about something that you're really desiring, or you get a diagnosis and you really, really want to heal, but you're at a place where you really, really want to do something, right? You really, really want to do something now. You have a strong desire, a very strong yearning for something. What ends up happening is shortly after that, the shit is going to hit the fan. And why this happens energetically is you've got to understand something here. So when the body is like a funnel, and it's funneling your soul's energy through you. You call it source energy. So it's funneling source energy through you into the physical world, right? So literally the body is a manifestation, but it's also a funnel for how source energy comes through you into the physical world, how it manifests things, because your reality is literally just a reflection of this flow of your energy, literally. So what happens is when you really, really want something, that energy starts to move really fast. It moves really, 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 really fast. But it has to hit, as it's flowing, it has to hit whatever in your consciousness and your energy is a block, wherever you have a block to that flow. And it's kind of like driving a car. So if you're moving before you really, really want something, and when you take a course, like my course, your desire gets amped up. It gets amped up, right? Because that's just kind of the flow. You start to believe this is possible more, you want it more. So what ends up happening is the energy flows really fast. It's like moving. So before in a car, you might be going 25 miles an hour, and you have things that are in the way of this energy coming, flowing freely through your system, through your chakra system, if you will. Well, if you're going 25 miles an hour and there's a tree in the way and you hit the tree, it's kind of a slight little bump, right? It's not going to be a major bump. Like it's not going to uprail you. But when you're going 75 miles an hour, that same little tree can fuck the car up, right? And what happens is your soul, when you really, really want something, it starts to shoot those trees up really big because it's like, these are in the way. You need to pay attention to them so that you can pull them out of the way so you go fast. We want to go fast. Here's the roadblocks. Please stop ignoring the roadblock. You can't ignore you could have ignored the roadblocks before because you weren't moving as fast and you weren't wanting it as much, but now you really want it. And you can't ignore these because they are preventing. So that's one thing. This is kind of a good thing for everybody to know, because this happens with anything, by the way. It doesn't just happen with health and wellness. It can happen when you really want more money. It can happen when you want relationships. Shit hits the fan. Whatever is in the way of your energy flow and the flowing so that the manifestation of what you want happens. Whatever is preventing you from allowing that, whatever thought processes you're having, thought patterns, whatever behavioral patterns are in the way, it's going to be highlighted. So here's something to help you kind of shine a light on this for you, is because you were talking about chronic fatigue, right? So here's something about exhaustion and fatigue. That I specifically, anyone experiencing exhaustion fatigue, but especially if this is part of your symptoms and it's chronic. There are really three types of exhaustion and fatigue. There's the type where your body has undergone a lot of exertion, like physical. You've done a lot of physical activity with the body, and the body is just tired because you have been working out hard, you've been exercising, you've been walking all day, you've been doing a lot. The body has exerted itself, right? There's fatigue that is caused by a lot of stress and conflict in the life. So you may have work where you are under a lot of stress, or you're in conflict. Maybe you have conflict with employees or your boss consistently. You may have an interpersonal relationship. You may have a lover, or it may be familiar, or a child, or a sister, or a parent. That you have a lot of conflict with, and this is causing a lot of stress for you. But you have stress and conflict, and this will stress the system. This will cause you to feel exhausted. The other one is what is often even more common. And this one is, it's not really caused by you doing too much. It's actually caused by you doing too little of what makes you feel alive. And you will start to feel fatigue. You'll start to feel tired because the body is it's being overstressed, because what actually fuels the body, what actually gives it energy, what actually makes it feel radiant and over energy is not necessarily the food you eat, but and that while that can help, it's not necessarily the nutrition you do. It's what are you doing that makes you feel alive? What's feeding you, right? When you have a life that is chronically and consistently and frequently feeding you, you feel a sense of fun. You have a lot of pleasure. You have fulfillment. You're doing things that have meaning to you, that make you feel fulfilled. You will feel very energized. As a matter of fact, you could go for very longer periods of time. People who have a very fulfilling life, a life that tastes very delicious to them, they actually don't need as much sleep as the average person. So you want to figure out which one of those types, or if you have several, because sometimes people have, I know when I was going through deep exhaustion, I had a PhD in exhaustion, by the way. So when I had my PhD in exhaustion, I had all three types going. But you have to really figure out which of the types you are involved in, and you got to stop it. Chronic fatigue is chronic exhaustion, meaning you are doing one of those types consistently. and have been doing that for a while. Like the body has to be a reflection. You took the course, so you know, the body has to be a reflection of what's happening internally, right? So when you are internally exhausted, emotionally exhausted over something, the body has to be chronically exhausted as well. It has to. So you have to figure out which one of those it is and then address that. Go all bars in to address what that is and shift that and watch how your body will change. Now, again, it's going to take boundaries, because boundaries is a big part of why you're exhausted. That's another a big part too, that, you know, you're saying, yeah, I can probably almost, I don't even need to tune back into your energy. I can probably bet a house on it that you're a person that is off, says yes a lot and does not say no enough, especially when you really want to, especially when you really don't want to involve yourself. Probably because you were conditioned, let me see. Yeah. There's some childhood conditioning I see in the system. Being of service, being kind, being nice is very important. And because that's become very important, a lot of times you overexert yourself.
I think the third one stands out, but it's kind of a bit, it's like you were saying to the previous lady, it's a catch-22, because sometimes you need the energy to do those things. And just recently, yeah, it's just all gone a bit funny. So I've sort of cut back, because I write, and there's something in my writing that I love, and I feel that's always been my mission. And I've been journaling with Soul, like, Soul, what the fuck? You know, I thought I was doing the right thing. Soul, what are you doing to me? You know?
Yeah, it's not punishing. There's no punishment. It's just reflecting. And so in order to do more of what really feeds you, you got to say no to more of what doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's really the first step. So a lot of times we'll say, I don't have a lot of, where do I find that I don't have the energy to do all these things I really want to do? And I get it. But what you'll find is you find a whole bunch of energy comes in. It's almost like a miracle. Like, where did all this come from? Because it's being siphoned in these other places. And when you pull your energy back from those places, all of a sudden you find, wait a minute, I have more energy. I have another 30 minutes. I can do write this, or I have this, or I have this. What do I need to pull back from? What do I need to say no to?
I don't know, because I'm getting better at doing that. And I'm not doing a busting load at the moment. I'm not working. I can't work at the moment.
Well, it's not always like that. It's not always like you have a whole bunch of, I'm just trying to see how to say this, because it's like, let's say this, like, they want me to say it like this. So there was a time in my life where I wasn't working, and I was thought I was like building my dream business, but I was so exhausted and I could not understand why. Right here I am. I'm doing the work I say I'm trying to do it, trying to get out in the world and do what I want to do. And I would say I was resting. I'm doing all this resting, but actually my resting was, let me check the email, let me scroll on my phone, let me watch this, let me plan this. I'm thinking about, like, what else do I need to, how can I do this? How can I do this? There wasn't periods where I was just fueling myself and having fun. Right? My resting was actually, I was still exerting myself. It just didn't look like, oh, I'm doing physical. It was up here.
That's me.
Right? So you can exhaust yourself up here. And so you got to get out from up here, and you can exhaust yourself through worry. You can exhaust yourself through frustration. You can exhaust yourself through thinking about what's not working well or what's not. You can exhaust yourself by putting too much. You can have remember, you have your system has many things. So you can have physicals, you have a physical plate, but you also have an energetic plate and a mental plate. And so what's on your mental plate? You know, so you really got to take stuff off of these things, relax, trust. I think one of those things coming up now energetically in the thread for you is trust. A lot of your mental space is filled with worry.
Yeah, panic, worry. Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know the opposite of that is trust, but it's doing it, I guess.
So I want you to, I want to say this too, and then I'll leave this for you here.
Thank you.
Worry is stress. It is chronic stress. And it stresses the body and it makes the body tired. So I would almost look at if I'm really in this too, your chronic fatigue is chronic worry, because literally, if you look at the science of it as well, there's many studies. As a matter of fact, you can find these studies. Google is a wonderful tool now because they have all the studies online, but you can find scientific studies about what happens to the body when we hold thoughts of anxiety and worry, and how it activates the fight or flight response and floods the body with stress hormones. And that tires the body out. So part of your fatigue is mental. You just have too much on the plate, the mental plate. And you want to really take a deep dive into trusting. One of my favorite books that really goes into trust and surrender is called Outrageous Openness by Tosha Silver. If you are part of my, if you take my online course, Self-Love Academy, there's a whole book club in there, and Outrageous Openness is one of the books that you go over in that. For anybody that's interested in that, my online course is called Self-Love Academy. I'll talk about it here in a second, but I would highly recommend, if you want a book on trust, that's one of my favorites, Outrageous Openness. But you want to begin to trust, particularly that life loves you, because that's what I'm seeing for you at your energy field. When you begin to believe that life loves you, you're going to relax a lot, and you're going to put all those things in your head aside so that you can relax and do what fuels you instead of what drains you, and worrying is draining you. You're just chronically drained. Yeah.
That sounds about right. I will. Yeah. Thank you very much. I thank everybody for the time.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.